welcome to the channel. It's Tuesday. It's about probably, I'd say about 12:30, and we are out here in front of Chiang Mai Gate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk down south in front of the Smith residence and down that little soi because I haven't been down that way in a while. I'll turn the camera around so you can see where we're at. Pretty busy out here today. It's about 33 degrees Celsius and the air is real nice and cool. It's not bad. The AQI is real good as well. Over there's a laundromat. But we'll go down here, and when we get to the fork in the road, usually I go left, but this time I'm going to go right. We'll go out in front of Smith residence and go down that way a little bit. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about an American guy that ended up in Cambodia and really got himself into just a real bad jam, and yeah, it's just kind of a crazy story. We're at a hotel, huh? He was about 46 years old when he finally got to Cambodia, and in the interviews, he was from, I believe, someplace outside of Chicago, and according to him, and I've not been able to document it or find any real truth to it, but it says he was a former police officer. It said back in 2001, after 9/11, he decided it was his calling to be a police officer. And doesn't say how long he lasted, doesn't say anything about his career, and it's just him saying this. There's no real proof that he was or wasn't or whatever. But anyway, he gets to Cambodia, and like I said, doesn't say whether he has a wife or kids or leaves a family or anything like that. Just nothing mentioned of it. But he gets down there and starts running around a little bit, and apparently he likes it there. And he rents a bungalow from a guy, kind of sort of like a house, and it's the landlord lived right there on the property, and he proceeds to enjoy his time there, going to the bars and partying and just carrying on. Have no idea where he's getting his money from. It doesn't say that either. 46 is a little bit too young to retire. Organ Bar and Bistro. Huh. But he makes some friends and things, and they start noticing that he's getting a little bit crazy. Yeah, here's the front side of the Smith residence, Smith Cafe. Everybody that I've talked to that has stayed here has really enjoyed it. And you can rent by the month. You can even sign a lease for a whole year. Parking services is 200 baht per day for non-guests. Huh. Okay. But anyway, he's making the bar scenes, and the people around him are noticing that he's getting a little bit bizarre. And apparently he's experimenting with methamphetamine. Yaba well, that's what they call it here. I don't know what they call it in Cambodia. But for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it's really, really highly addictive. And after a period of time, you pretty much go into a psychosis. You get just real paranoid. Your skin starts to feel funny. You get scabs. Your teeth rot out. And it's basically, here they call it yaba, and yaba here means drug crazy. And basically what it does is it drives you crazy. And that's why the Thai government is so strict on it here, because it's really ruining the youth of the country. I can't tell you how many times I read about people committing crimes while on Yaba. But oh, that's a neat place. Island Tours. Book your tour here, huh? Well, that's neat. I've never seen that before. We're gonna scope that out. Well, wait a minute. I have been there. This will take you out on Waialae Road, I believe. But we'll go down this way anyway. Maybe we can make a left and come out. But he gets so bad that his landlord kicks him out of his house for a while, and he just kind of floating around. Well, after a while, he kind of straightens up a little bit. The landlord lets him move back in, and I don't know if this is going to end here or what. Wow, look at this house. That is really cool. Pretty neat. Right here in the middle of the village. But anyway, the landlord lets him move back in. He goes back to his normal days of partying. Well, one night he goes to an area frequented by prostitutes, and he picks up this Vietnamese girl, brings him back to his apartment. You know, landlord sees him walking in with her, but doesn't think anything about it. It's pretty much an acceptable situation. Well, that's really cool, and no big deal. Well, about 3 days later, the landlord looks over at his bungalow where he's living, and he sees smoke billowing out the windows. And of the bungalow where this guy was staying. So the landlord calls the police. The police pull up, and when they pull up, he jumps out the window of the bungalow, and takes about 3 steps, and his leg just goes right out from underneath him. He had messed his leg up real bad jumping out the window, and they catch him. They go inside the apartment, or the bungalow, and put the fire out. Whoa. But that was a real sneaky little alley. Let's go this way. Wow, that's cool. Look at that. The police go in there and they put the fire out, and underneath the mattress, the smoldering mattress, and a bunch of his clothes and stuff, they find the girl. She's dead. And so they snatch him up, and first they take him to the hospital, and I'm pretty much sure they had to operate on his leg. And he confesses. He says that he killed her, and he goes on to say that he'd picked her up, and apparently, according to him, he was a frequent flyer with this girl. This is his story, and I'll tell you pretty much what I think after I tell you what he said. But he says he picked her up, and he got her back to his room, and he finds out that she's got a boyfriend, and he was upset about it, so he told her to leave. Well, she wanted her money, and he wouldn't give it to her, and they got into an argument and a fight, and he basically, this is what he says. He says he puts her hand over her mouth, and then he just leaves. And he didn't know that he had killed her. Well, when they do the autopsy on the body, they find that she's got coat hanger marks around her neck, and she's basically been strangled with a coat hanger. And so they charge him with homicide, and he apparently doesn't fight it. He gets sentenced to 12 years. And during that time, after he got sentenced, he had to go back to the hospital. And while he was in the hospital, he ended up hanging himself. And that was the end of it there. It says nothing after that, but you know, my consensus was that his story was a bunch of bull crap. You know, about her having a boyfriend. I mean, if you go pick a girl up off the street and, you know, she tells you she's got a boyfriend, well, that's just part of it, you know. I think probably what happened was he picked her up and decided that he just got a little bit carried away and ended up strangling her. But, you know, that's the thing about people that come here and get carried away with the freedom of being in a different country, especially here, because there is a lot of freedom here. Oh, that's pretty. And it's kind of like especially down in Cambodia, it's like the Wild West down there. And he's not the first person to do that. And I'm sure he's not going to be the last. But, you know, it basically cost him his life. He came here to have a good time and got messed up on dope, and bang, you know, there's the rest of his life gone. Wow, I have not walked back in through here before that I know of. This is really cool. Really a neat little area. Now, I'm sure, yeah, that will definitely take me back out on Waialae Road, which is not really the place that I want to go. I'll go back out to the main road here and make a left back. But, you know, especially with the younger kids here, messing with drugs in a foreign country just is not a smart thing to do. You know, Thailand has legalized marijuana, which to me, you know, it needs to be regulated a little bit better than it is. You know, we'll just have to wait. And now they're talking about changing the laws, but whether they will or not is yet to be seen. Hello. I love walking around this area, Haya. You see so many different buildings that have been here for a long time. Wow, you could buy that place and fix it up. Tis Bike Shop. Huh, this is really neat. We'll continue walking. When I was working narcotics back in the States, you know, the thing that we feared the most were meth heads, because they were so unpredictable. And wow, there's a lady, a guy just kind of strolled out there, laid out in the shade. You never know what they were going to do. You know, they get this paranoia in them, and you know, the next thing you know, you're hitting their door, and the next thing you know, you're in a shootout with them. Or they'll freak out and, you know, do like he did, jump out the window. And so it was always something that you kept in mind. I hated dealing with those people. And you know, you go in there, and the chances of you getting contaminated with methamphetamine or the chemicals that they used to make it were pretty common. Let's see where this goes. I don't know if I can get through here or not. I don't know how in the world I'm ever going to map this out. This is really cool. This is probably somebody's house back here. I don't know. Don't know where I'm ending up. Yeah, it ends up right back here. So I will have to go back out the other way or walk through their yard here, and I really don't want to do that. This is cool. But those were some of the things that we had to deal with. And those chemicals that they use to make that stuff with are so toxic. And when I was on patrol, I remember one particular day I got called to a business inside the city, and the city was bad about trying to dump on the county. If they could ever think of a reason to dump a case on the county, they would. And you know, we were pretty much obligated to take it. In this particular instance, I get there, I meet the city officer, and she says, this guy just found a Coke bottle full of something. She didn't even know what it was. I looked at the bottle, I wouldn't touch it. And I said, well, you know, this is inside the city. You know, so, well, he found it in the county right out in front of the Justice Center. And so that basically put it in my care. And I wouldn't touch the bottle. I just, you know, I said, I'm not touching it. And I called one of the drug guys and told him where it was. And he came out in his high-vac suit and picked it up and disposed of it. Because you get that stuff on you, you know, that stuff can kill you. And to think that people are shooting that stuff in their veins and snorting it. Hello, Swadee cop. You know, it's just beyond me. I've seen people just totally ruin their lives. And I'll tell you one story that happened to us. And we had this really exclusive neighborhood in the north end of town. You know, the houses were, you know, they were $1 million houses. And we got a call out there that a guy had barricaded himself inside the house with a gun. And we get out there, and you know, we had the SWAT team and had the house surrounded. Let's see which way we're going to go. I think we'll go right here. And one of the officers is talking to him on the phone, and he's a executive of a medical firm that was selling equipment to the hospitals. And he got hooked up on meth. And he went crazy, absolutely crazy. And we sat out there for probably about 2 hours talking to him. We finally got him to come to the door. And when he came to the door, we rushed him. And he had a gun in his hand. And went in the house, and the house, beautiful house. I mean, just immaculate. The furniture is beautiful. You know, paintings, art on the wall, and just a really nice house. And he had trashed the house. We found feces smeared all over the walls, and just all kinds of crazy stuff. And he had just got on meth and went nuts. And you know, here's a guy that was probably, he had to be a millionaire. I mean, you just don't live in that area without being rich. And he put his life up his nose. So that stuff is really wicked. I have no clue where I'm going to come out, but I venture to say I'll come out on the same road that I came in on. Promotion. That's a pretty house. Little country store here. It is, hello, JD Jewelry. I bet they sell silver there. Yeah, I've seen drugs ruin a lot of lives. You know, people that you would not suspect fall prey to it, fall prey to the addiction. Yeah, Lei silverware. Yeah, I've walked this road before. It will take me right back out to where I came from. Silver Hotel. I should get lazy and grab this tuk-tuk, take me back to the car, but actually I need the exercise. I spent, yesterday I had to do my yearly extension, and I did it in record time. I was in and out of there in less than an hour. But I had spent the whole week getting my papers together and getting all the documents signed and making sure every dot and every I was crossed right. And it's funny when you go, they send you to a little desk, and that person goes over your paperwork before they give you a number to get in. And I had got an appointment online, and the only thing they could gig me on was I used black ink on my application. And she said, do you want to change it, or do you want to try to get it through? And by that point, I just said, we'll just try it, and if I have to change it, I can rewrite it. But it went through fine. We didn't have any problems. Everything was the way it was supposed to be. And but it's always a nightmare, I mean, you have to start a week in advance because you have to get all your bank statements. And with the banks that we use here, hello. With the banks that we use, it takes a week to get your statement, at least the one I use. And then after you get that, they have to certify every one of your deposits, that certify that they've come from outside the United States. Now see, there's somebody drying rice, and they're laundry. So it takes a little bit of time to get all that stuff. And then the funniest thing that happened was they require you to update your passport on that day and include a copy of it. Well, I hadn't made any transactions, so when I put my bank book into the machine, it posted my last transaction on, it was actually on the 19th. And the only way I would have been able to get it dated on the 21st was to transfer money out and back in and show some kind of action. But I would have had to show some kind of activity on the account and then run it through the machine again. But everything went through fine. They were happy with it, so we went about our merry way. Loaf Bread Cafe Pizza. Huh, that's interesting. We have almost walked down to the other silver temple. Well, we're going to start walking back this way. Loaf Bread Cafe. Let's look at their menu. Oh, I get cool stuff coming out. Place is packed, that's for sure. I don't know how the pizza would be. I've had bad luck getting pizza this far out in the country before. Well, listen, I've talked long enough, and I'm going to close this video out, get home and update it, and we'll get it out to you. Y'all have a great day. I appreciate y'all stopping in and checking out the channel, leaving comments and all that good stuff. It really makes me feel good. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.